Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented lightworkers and the innovative influencers of our time. I absolutely love to talk to fellow astrologers, which is why I'm thrilled tonight to welcome back Natha Perkins on Lionsgate, no less. With her signature blend of deep intuition and practical wisdom, Natha uses astrology as both a map and a mirror, revealing what's been concealed and helping clients step forward with newfound clarity. Beyond individual readings, she shares her gifts through her podcast, Star Narratives, and teaching programs that help others unlock their astrological understanding. Her approach goes beyond prediction. She helps you to see what you couldn't see before, so so you can shift. Excuse me, except my mouth can't shift. You can shift what needs shifting. Please join me in welcoming back our Step 15 Taurus, Natha Perkins. Yay! We like audience sounds here.
Hello.
Hi.
So
Yes, nice
glad to be here.
so nice to see you again. Yes. How are you doing? How moo 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 moo.
I'm good. I'm good. And I was having fun just listening to you guys backstage. You guys it's quite the show, and you are amazing. You're making me laugh. I love it. And it's a good day for
Oh,
it.
you heard me all like worried about my hair and all the shallow stuff as I go try to
Well,
dig deep.
all the stuff.
Yeah,
It's a
totally.
Taurus stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. Make it look better. Totally, exactly. Taurus stuff. Can we talk about Taurus real quick? I mean, how are the Taurus in your opinion? Just real quick.
I
Can you be
mean,
objective about it?
I think that I'm a Capricorn rising, so I was really psyched when
Mm,
Pluto left Capricorn, but now
mm,
Pluto is coming up to square all of our Taurus stuff, and
mm-hmm.
it's a little confronting, but I also feel like it's helping us. It's teaching us about what we need to feel more grounded and be more sort of rooted. So that's a good thing, right?
Totally. I mean, I find this. I don't know. I find the squares helpful because it helps me get off the couch. Like, okay. I actually use that kind of that tension to move forward. I find it helps because we're going to work anyways. We're Tauruses. Like we're not going to
Exactly.
not do it. It just helps us a little bit, and it defines us a bit more too. I think.
Yeah, and it's like we all just had to do over the last 8 years Uranus on our sun.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was a big growing up transit as well. But
Yes.
as an
Yes.
astrologer, I always enjoy doing these transits. I mean, I might not enjoy them while we're in them, but I enjoy doing them
Right.
because I can tell people that I'm
Right.
working with. I can say from experience, this is what might happen and this is what it might feel like.
Yes. Yeah, and I feel the same exact way. I do feel grateful. Actually, my Uranus was a total breakdown. I mean, I lost everything. I went off the air. It was pretty cray cray. But it was on my sun for 96 days, 97 days. And I had Chiron return at the same time. So it was a double whammy. I don't know if it counts. But boy, I'll tell you, it was electric. There was a ton of anxiety on the conjunction. Ton of anxiety, like electric, can't calm down kind of stuff. So, but I did ascend out of my fears. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the good news is that we're all really, no matter what's going on and no matter what sign, any of your planets land in, we are doing some really big work on ascension, on evolution. And when we're
Mhm.
in the mire of it, it can feel really hard and really confronting, but there's a lot of payoff that we sometimes get to see instantaneously. It might not stay around, but at least we get little tastes of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I instantaneously what I got was fearlessness. I found that I'm fearless since my Chiron returned. Those who are going through it, don't worry, it's going to
Mhm.
end in something nice. You may not have yet. I don't want to out your age, but Chiron returned really did face a lot of my fears, and I realized that everything I had ever worried about was Chiron.
Mm.
My whole life, I realized it was all Chiron. Funny how it was, and then it wasn't. So, but yeah, it's interesting times. We have Lionsgate tomorrow, right? Or today? No, today's Lionsgate.
Today. Well,
I'm
yeah,
using
I
space
mean,
time, kind of where
yeah,
you look at it in the world, right?
yeah.
So 8-8, is basically what it's based on. I look at it step 16 as Lionsgate personally, the 16th degree of Taurus. But I'd like to know what is Lionsgate? Tell
So,
us.
I always kind of jokingly call Lionsgate, like, I question, is it an Instagram holiday? Like, what is it? Because there's so much activity. Everybody gets so excited. But when I
Yeah.
was researching the astrology of it this year, I was getting really excited because I was looking at Sirius, at the star Sirius. And so I wanted to get some input from you because that's kind of your star.
Yeah.
But, with Sirius rising and being able to see it, which by the way, everybody right now, if you have a view of the eastern horizon in the morning and it's around 5 a.m., you can see Jupiter, Venus, and I don't know how visible Sirius is. I wasn't able to see it, but we
Mm,
can see those things rising right now. And that to me is more of the lion's gate in this idea that we are getting new downloads, we're getting new information that's being delivered that's really powerful, that's bringing us back into maybe some past life memories, maybe some insight. I'm like holding my quartz crystal here, so the crystals are getting activated,
mhm.
but it feels like a really powerful time because, especially because Venus and Jupiter are there too in the sign of Cancer. So
Right.
I've been really feeling into the energy in a different way this year. How
Mhm.
about you?
Oh, yes. Well, indeed. I mean, I'm a different person, I would say. I look at Lionsgate for me as step 16, which nets to a 7 in step astrology, which basically means you're in a place to download from heaven. And so I think we have downloads every year, from the perspective of just the posture we take with step 16, which is open our heart and trust and just open up and open our heart and trust in the sign of the heart. So, that's as open as the heart gets, with Leo. And I think it's as high as the vibration gets of Leo, love, and spirituality 7, because 16 adds to a 7. But I myself this year have just changed so much. So much of my new self has come through. And my old self was wiped away. So this year was a huge, profound realizations are happening, and mine tend to happen a little early. Do you have things happen early to you as an astrologer?
I feel like they do. I feel like things don't happen exactly on
Time.
the date that a planet ingresses or anything like that, but the
Mhm.
information starts to come in waves. And I feel that themes in my life, and that's something for everybody listening to just look around the themes that are going on because
Mm,
themes have threads of repetition as
mhm,
if trying to get our attention, like, oh my God, I'm dealing with self confidence, or I'm dealing with my relationship to groups, or, we start to get the mirror starts to become more and more clear. And it makes this whole set of downloads that starts to show up. That's how it
mm.
works for me.
Interesting. Um, I'm wondering for you how you see life going forward, like when we have Pluto in Aquarius and we have Lionsgate, because when Pluto opposes Lionsgate, so to speak, that'll be what, 16 degrees, probably about 10 years from now. Do you think that, what is your hypothesis?
Well, I think that right now we're doing so much with other people, right? So we
Yeah.
have and even like as we're talking this week, we have Mars in Libra, we have
Mm,
Uranus in Gemini, we have Pluto in Aquarius, and these are all the relationship signs that they're in. And it's like, what is going on with the people in your life? What is your
mm,
relationship to how people get on your nerves, how you're communicating with them, whether your relationships are smooth or whether they feel really like sticky and itchy, because that is what is coming up. And I think that as Pluto is moving into Aquarius and, will continue to do so for the next 20 years, that it's going to be about our ability to relate to people. And
mm,
there's a lot of opposition in the field, right? A
mhm,
lot of like, you're right and I'm right and you're wrong and all of this stuff. But it's like we have to learn how to let that sand turn into the pearl in our oyster,
mm,
and we can just look around. Who is in our life right now that's annoying? Or how do we feel out in public, for some good answers of what Pluto and Aquarius is going to bring each of us.
mm. Indeed, actually, I see your point. And I look at Pluto as boundaries. I look at Aquarius as energy. So I think there's two stories there. One, you're trying to like connect to people you're not really connected to vibrationally, and you're not paying attention to the fact that you guys are in different worlds. Or two, there's difference between you, and there's not boundaries that kind of help you, right? So there's no, for instance, if someone's annoying, you give them a couple extra seconds, right? Like there's certain boundaries, just give them more space time, kind of thing. So I think we're forced to, and if you don't get along, then go over here, a boundary, kind of thing. Just go to the other side of the bar, go to the other side of the room. You don't have to be in everyone's face. So I think you're right. I think I can see it very practically with Pluto. Really.
Yeah, and it's like this idea of the vibrational match.
Hmm.
Whether if you're a vibrational match to someone, then you will find them in your energy field. But you guys listening and you, Christopher, and myself, we might all be noticing that there are people in our lives that we just like can't bring ourselves to pick up the phone and call, or we
Right.
just have no interest in hanging out anymore,
Mm.
or we're compelled to cross the street when we're walking. And I look at that as the universe saying, hey, this person is not a vibrational match. And the more that
Mm.
you're tuning into that and listening to yourself, the easier this other stuff is going to go. But we're very conditioned to like be nice and polite and like do the thing anyway. So there's a lot of moving and shaking, I think, for all of us internally when it comes to our relationship with others, if
Mm.
we're paying attention.
Yeah, totally. What about Sirius? What's your thought about that? The bright star in the sky. How does it
So
affect your landscape for you?
yeah, I love Sirius, and I actually wasn't paying much attention to Sirius until
Hmm.
like the last year. But the more I dive into it, the more I really resonate with it. And I know that it's connected to like Atlantis, and
Hmm.
that's something that's really come into my field over the last year or so, is some memories of past lives in Atlantis. And
Really?
I know I've heard you talk about that. And then,
Mhm.
even like I said, with the crystals and the sacred geometry, and the way that you phrased it was beautiful. It was, what did you say? It was like insight from heaven. That also feels like it's serious, like the star Sirius energy to me, too.
Hmm. Yeah, from what I understand, the Sirius population taught us the family unit.
Mm.
So we were, I guess, a bunch of ragamuffin tribe people that had been genetically altered by alien race, and we were just sort of not really kind of taking care of ourselves because we were captive, we were slaves, right, of the original Anunnaki, and so the transition into family and the family unit was all Sirius apparently, and they taught the family unit and the mother, father, and the whole thing, and taught us how to, how to live in that unit. And we've been in that unit ever since, allegedly. I mean, now it's breaking apart. So um, interesting stuff.
Yeah, so that makes sense if it's hovering, right? Well, right now it's at 14 Cancer, and I think when I was born it was at 13. At least that's what it says in my chart, but that's a very Cancerian. And
Hmm.
so, what do you make of the Venus and Jupiter being conjunct at 14 degrees of Cancer this year, like right along with Sirius? How would you translate that?
Well, 14 adds to a five, and so that means that a mental state of awareness will change, a change of mind, an attitude. And 14 is really the purity of law of attraction because one is the sun, which is what attracts, and four is Uranus, which is what it's attracted to. So the sun and Uranus sort of are the two wavy lines in Aquarius, and so therefore it's a purebred step number as far as attraction is concerned. I think what it is a major shift in opening up and changing our mind or opinion about daily life. So I feel like we're going to be like, you know what? I just don't belong in this job, or I just don't belong in this. My heart's just not in it anymore. I think it's a mental clarity of, to get your mind to kind of, get with the program and realize that you're different, that you think differently. So usually 14 is when someone has an opinion and they're afraid of saying it, like they're keep their mouth shut. So 14 people keep their mouth shut and then they can't keep it up shut and they'll open it up on Thanksgiving. And then everyone's like, what's gotten into you? They've been thinking the whole time. So 14 people are very opinionated people, which is not a bad thing. But they are all about finding what their opinion is. So I think we find our personal opinion. I think we own our personal opinion with the conjunction. But I think Venus and Cancer alone is just us opening up and accepting the nurturing, accepting like opening up and accepting the that this does feel good. That this massage did help me. That I do feel better after the nap. Just the acknowledgement to the heart that this really did help. This nurturing helped.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. So there's this energy of like knowing what your truth is, speaking it, and then also really owning that this soft, tender way of taking care of ourselves, which is what allows us to go out and take care of others, is, and not in a codependent way. I was thinking a lot about
Right.
Cancer and the codependence. So that's
Hmm.
another piece that we're all looking at,
Yeah.
is who in my life do I have this whole codependent relationship with, where I'm
Hmm.
always trying to help them, but I'm not getting anything in return, and kind of seeing the truth about that. And maybe
Hmm.
those are some of the people that you make an attempt to back off from a little bit and buy yourself a little space from.
Hmm. Yeah, perhaps. Codependence too is, I think, have been a big part of cancers altogether, like you said. And I think that it had to do with like putting, again, relying on someone else to feel better. I'd rather I come empty. So I'm empty because I didn't nurture myself. And then I draw in an empty person. And then I try to fill the empty person with what I have left. And then I'm even more empty, right? And it's just this cycle that never ends. And I think we're finally getting to it. But I do find that my Cancer clients are still stuck. I mean, like, and my Capricorns too. I've had a few Capricorns over the weekend, or just in the past, that were kind of revealing some of their natures coming back, like some of their nature, like kind of taking advantage or getting something for free, just little things that was like, wait a second, didn't Pluto hit you? Kind of thing. It's been the first time I've seen a Pluto transit and people survive. I don't really recall the Sagittariuses. I wasn't close enough to them back with Pluto Sag. But the Cappies, I'm noticing they're like kind of back they're back on their feet. And some of them are back in the business they were in before. I'm like, yeah, what's that going to be? But long story short, Pluto, I think, is a big part of that in Capricorn with Cancers, because that was all in their house of marriage, right? And
Mhm.
relationships. And so they had a lot of decisions to make. And power struggle was a big deal in their relationships, right? So I think codependency for Cancers a lot of times was the only way they got their power, was that they were emotionally needed.
True, true. And if you think about the fact that we all have a moon and we all have a mother, and we're all, in some respect, dancing around our mother, trying, wanting to make sure that she's okay and that she loves us. And so we
Right.
do learn that codependence of, especially those of us that identify as empaths, which is probably a lot of people that listen to this show, is,
Mhm.
we feel the tension in their bodies, or we feel the need that somebody else has and we try to fill it so that
Right.
we don't have to feel their tension anymore. And
Right.
so there's a
Yeah.
lot of having to work that out too. And it's like comes down to like mom stuff, which I think probably most
Yeah.
people have some mom stuff. Yeah.
Totally. It's some other issues. And the funny thing is it's kind of our survival. I mean, once we had I guess, the dark ages and the breakdown, which happened after Atlantis sometime, we all fell and we lost our connection to spirit. We lost our connection that knew that we'd be okay. I think we developed these habits where, codependency was how you survived in the tribe, things like that. But so I think we're getting rid of these Cold War era, fight or flight era mechanisms such as codependency, slow one but surely, one at a time. But they're being removed slowly but surely. Is what I was trying to say. I'm seeing different things too. Just with Scorpios, for instance, trusting more. And they were always untrusting because they've been nothing but stabbed in the '80s with Pluto and Scorpio, you know, things like that. I'm seeing signs like go of their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And I
know,
think that, as so many teachers right now keep reminding people, is there's a lot of fear that's being pumped into the collective.
hmm
And we counter that by soothing ourselves and saying, it's going to be okay. It really
yes,
is going to be okay. It looks very scary from out there. And we could go into the rabbit holes and go into fear, but it is going to be okay. And that is part of that Cancerian stuff too. And Scorpion and Pisces, those are all the three water signs get so fearful in their different ways. But there is something important about remembering to self-soothe. We can just say it's going to be okay.
it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. You have to almost massage your feelings back to neutrality.
Mhm.
It's what I've learned. And I'm a progressed Cancer now, step 8.
Okay. Oh, so am I actually. Yeah.
What do
Although
you mean?
my progress, yeah, I think I'm only at like 2.
Oh, that's Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Well, that was the year that I had all the emotions come pouring in. I had been a progressed Gemini until then, and then all of a sudden, I just felt like a baby. Did you feel the
Mhm.
the huge change in weather, so to speak, inside you?
Yeah, it's for me, a lot of it has come up around mothering, like literal mothering, and then
Mhm.
also the change because all of my kids are older now, and the looking around and saying, "Wait a minute, am I supposed to be taking care of myself now?" Which feels very foreign because, as
Mhm.
we'll say, a recovering codependent person that was always trying to take care of everybody else. There's been a lot of shifting and changing for me around that and saying, "Well, God, if I'm not codependent, who am I?" And so that's where I'm at with the Cancerian stuff. But I am just now starting to feel the change in the weather, like you said. It took a little while, but I do have South Node and Mercury in Gemini, so that Gemini still feels like very much a part of me. So, work in progress, just like the rest of us.
Absolutely, yeah. And I found too that when it comes to moving forward with like the Saturn Aries stuff, have you felt the Saturn Aries and Uranus? Because we've had Saturn enter Aries for the first time really in our conscious adult life, and Uranus and Aries again. I mean, excuse me, Neptune and Aries, Uranus and Gemini. But this energy into Aries, and this is after Chiron, right? So Chiron had gone through and healed all this allegedly, and then we come, and it's not done, but it's at the high degrees now. So we've gotten through all the personal stuff. And now that these two came in, I felt like an incredible empowerment when they came in. Like I felt something very strong, courageous, sure of myself. Like it just came in like a switch. Then when it retrograded back, I feel it gone again. So it's like, are we truly, are we just being introduced to it, or do you think it's sticking? How is it for you?
Yeah, it's actually felt it's brought up a lot around, and because you and I are Gen X, so we have
Right.
Chiron and Aries. So we've
Mm-hmm.
had to work with this whole wound around the Aries energy. And so Saturn going into Aries has felt like really like, yeah, great.
Like,
I can be
da-da-da-da.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be strong. And now we're headed back to Pisces, and it's bringing up all the old anxiety. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm always saying to clients is all of this Piscean stuff with Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces and North Node in Pisces is that we're learning how to trust that there's a flow. So with Aries, it's like, yes, finally we can like do the thing and we can move into action,
Right.
but also not so fast, because you don't want to forget that you are almost obligated to this heavenly source flow. And if we get too busy trying to move into action, we're going to move and do things that aren't, I don't want to say the wrong things, but we end up going too fast. And so that's what it's felt like for me. It's this speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. And
Mm-hmm.
but it is
Yeah.
forcing me to look at some of my compulsions, right? Some of the part of me that wants to like just get the job done.
Right. Compulsion, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the part of you nags, 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 at least for me, that Aries is like, come on, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. But that's a lot of change if we go over all that together, right? So we talk about Saturn and Aries, we talk about Pluto, we talk about, Uranus and Gemini, haven't really felt yet, except this is the craziest Mercury retrograde I've ever experienced. Like as far as technology and things going down, everything has gone down. I'm living without Zoom right now. Zoom and I are in a war. There's some sort of error codes. So I'm having to like log in with other things and other people. I haven't had this much of a heavy retrograde with Mercury, even speaking, in a long time. I can't remember how far back. How about you?
So what I'm finding with Uranus and Gemini is that it is bringing in all of this new stuff. It's not new. I just haven't paid that much attention to it before,
Mm-hmm.
like cosmic lineage, right? And
Mm-hmm.
star seeds and even galactic astrology. And then, of course, telepathy and all of these things that are kind of mind benders. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's that. That's coming into my field of like, oh my God, like is
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing here? And who are we? And why are we on this planet? And where did we come from? And the Mercury retrograde hasn't felt as strong for me, but I'm wondering if it's near because are you a Leo rising? Is it
Yeah.
impacting your Leo? You know, I wonder if
Well,
that's why it
well,
is
certainly,
feeling.
I think it does impact my Leo. I mean, like me stuttering. I've had a hard time. I'll see a face and can't get the name. Like this weird stuff like that happens with Mercury retrograde. But this is technology. This is like sixth house stuff. I kind of think it might be Uranus. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't really tell. I think Uranus and Gemini is going to make things electronically, inconsistent. Perhaps not always, reliable, because Uranus is trying to bring things up to a higher vibration. So, anytime you have electricity going over the old wires or using the old system, I just think you're gonna have some trouble. So it might be just me putting it together in my head, Mercury retrograde, when it's in fact Uranus and Gemini also.
Right.
But it certainly is, things are electric, they're moving forward. And you can't say the way you used to say it. I've noticed that too. I've noticed that people have changed enough where, you make that joke, it's just not funny anymore. Well, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're making me wonder too if some of it isn't South Node Virgo, because my experience of South Node Virgo is like all of my uptightness, the part of me that wants to like do all the things and do it in the best time and get it done is
Hmm.
like, forget it. So that's like technology isn't
You're right.
necessarily messy for me, but it's like I'll go to try to find something on my computer and it's like, wait, why isn't it on my computer? It's in my Dropbox. And that feels to me like Virgo is saying, hey, slow down. Like you can't do it the way that you used to do it.
Yeah, totally. And you're right. Actually, I've noticed, thank you for pointing that out because I've been just like, screw it, it's not done. Or it's all right, we'll be fine. Whereas before I'd be like, because I have a Leo rising. So Virgo's all my second. And so everything I do, everything I manifest is gonna be all perfect, and now that South Node's a Virgo, I'm like, we'll be fine. You know, that kind of relaxed North Node in Pisces. Um, yeah, it's been interesting. I think you're right. And we had Mars go through there, of course. So that really kind of kicked the can down the road. Uh, and we have this full moon coming up, right?
I was just thinking that.
Wow, listen, Taurus is like, Uh, what is your take on the full moon? Because if everyone knows, it's a full moon in Aquarius, opposed to the sun, and it's energetically here to help you detach. I mean, I think a full moon always has a death and a birth. What are your thoughts on a full moon emotionally?
Yeah, I think that so I always look at it like there's these two parts of us that should be working in tandem, which is the sun, who we
Mm,
are, and the moon, how we feel. But in a full moon, there's always something that's out of balance, and we're meant to look at it. And we're looking at all these Leo themes around me. Like I want the attention. I want to be seen. I want to be validated. I want to feel important. And I also want to connect in with my heart. But then like we talked about at the beginning, there's all these other people, and that's Aquarius. And how
mm,
can we get our needs met and like prioritize ourselves and feel what we want to feel when we're in this sea of other people everywhere we go all the time? And it's hard. And so there's this moon is making a ton of different connections as well to different things like the nodes and
mm,
some of the asteroids. And it's like I think the mission here is to really go slowly and gently with ourselves and see ourselves very clearly, but then also see how we react to people. So if you're somebody that gets really annoyed when you're driving and people are always in your way, or you get annoyed when you're in the grocery store and people are walking slowly, or maybe you're the person walking very slowly, not being spatially aware, it's like this is a great week for all of us to just get a little more present and watch, like witness, like who am I when I'm out in public and what is my reaction? I was sharing a story on my YouTube channel about this group that I was a part of over the last 6 weeks. And I was really watching myself within this group and noticing what it was bringing up for me. It was bringing up a lot of like old high school adolescent dynamics
mm,
and being able to see like, ooh, I'm relating to this person like this, or I've just gotten annoyed with this person, or I want to really speak my mind, but I'm going to keep it quiet because I don't want to get in trouble. And so
mm,
for all of you, for everybody going through this moon, that's a great exercise, is to watch with curiosity how you relate to other people and how you feel, right? Do I feel like I'm not getting the attention I need? Do I feel
mm,
invisible? Do I feel like, oh God, too much attention, right? And that's a way that we can work with this moon.
mm. Well said. I feel I didn't really think about to the people, but I think you're right because it had to do with the belonging. I always feel from a perspective of we've been belonging to this sort of class or this kind of group that was sort of based on our wounds, based on our hearing our story of our victim story, and it kind of feels like to me this is the whole like kind of the film was like I'm over it. I don't want to go to that bar. I don't want to go to that place. I don't want to go to that culture. Cheers is not fun anymore. Kind of thing. And maybe that's the big that's what the film was about. It's like you end this attachment you have to a certain energetic category or association that represents a whole spiritual version of where your heart used to be and no longer is. Because I look at Aquarius, belonging. It's like it's what your heart wants and where it belongs, right? And so the full moon is like, okay, here's full motion. How's that work for you? Do you like it? Is it pretty? Do you fit in? So there's a bit of a, shifting. Although a moon, I think magical things happen in Aquarius energy. So this could be, a compelling full moon in the sense of we might have some interesting miracles happen or something.
Yeah, and I love what you said. It's almost like letting go of the old story. So when I'm
Mhm.
like relating to some group as if I am that 16-year-old that feels like an outcast, that's an old story. I don't need to
Right.
have that in my field anymore because that is not who I am. So there is a lot of magic to be found in this if we can let go of the old versions of us or how we perceived ourselves, really,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
wasn't even accurate in the first place.
hmm Yeah. And how we did, I think you can use Aquarius energy to cut off from your own heart,
Yes.
and pretend that you're not embarrassed, or pretend that it's okay. And it really wasn't, it hurt you, and that sort of thing. So there's some coming to Jesus there too, you know, especially about how much flair you have and how pretty you are. Right. Um,
Right.
what about the kite pattern happening in this full moon with Mars and Libra? Tell us what the kite pattern is if you like. Want it
Yeah.
to be
So yeah. So there is like right now there's the moon that is aspecting with all these asteroids and the nodes and then there's Mars which is making these connections with all of these outer planets. And of course this is the same gauntlet that Sun and Moon when we had the new moon in Leo and then also Venus just most recently and now Mars. So all and also Mercury going through this gauntlet where it's having to make these connections. So again, it's bringing in our relationships. And a kite pattern is when you can actually fly a kite. So you think about like a kite, and it's like you have this kite and there's all this potential, but you can only use it if you can like get it up in the sky. It takes
Mhm.
the right kind of action, the right kind of wind. And so
Yeah.
here we all have this potential of all of this powerful interpersonal and really it's all so connected to relationship with everything in these air signs. This potential to shift and create a lot of magic in the way that we relate to people. But we got to like put in the effort and the time and the thing to make that kite fly. I mean, is that how you would describe it?
Uh, I like the kite. I mean, I look at with the kite, we know where it's pointing,
Hmm.
because to me that where it's pointing, where it's coming from. That's the two at the bottom,
Yeah.
because you look at the architecture of the kite, and it has this like wings kind of thing. But those two, that opposition, that to me is really what the power of the kite is, in the sense of the universe is saying we're going this way, you know, and you got these two issues over here, but it's really this tip right here you have to pay attention to. To me, it's a complex structure of power that's going to lead you to flying. Like if you perform what it's asking you to do, which is, to me, pay attention to the tip of the kite. Do you pay attention to one planet over another?
I mean, I'm looking at the kite right now, and
Mhm.
I'm, very drawn, of course, to both Mars and Saturn. And then, I, it's like, I would say that it's all coming up, right? It's
Oh yeah,
all coming up. It's like on a
you're right.
personal level, I'm like, which
Hmm.
one is stronger for me? They're both up. How about for you?
Oh yeah, Mars and Saturn. Yes. Well, first of all, I'm in net nine, so I'm an 18 net nine. So anytime Mars does anything funky, I'm funky. I had a huge reboot today in health and stuff, so I'm feeling that big time. But I'm feeling this moon, I think, bigger than I have felt a moon in a long time. Also, it's pretty intense, but it's in my seventh, so I don't know. It's opposing, it's opposing my actual moon, so that's
Okay.
pretty intense. Yeah. So I can't tell. So my problem is, like, when there's that many planets involved and the moon is like, I don't know what the mess is exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because one thing leads to another. But I definitely feel this full moon big time.
Yeah, you said it. It's like when you ask me, what is it? Where am I looking? And it's like, I don't know. It feels so complicated
Hmm.
this week. And like really today, I just wanted to like lay down and sleep. And I think you even said that you were taking a nap. Like
Yeah, I overslept.
I don't even know what to do with it. I'm just gonna wait until the energy is passed. And in the
Yeah,
meantime, just be kind of watching for the themes, noticing what's happening. And I also find that I get a lot of the downloads after the transit has happened. So that might be
totally.
true for people listening.
100%, especially a full moon, and it's weird
Mhm.
that I have sleepy on a full moon because usually it's a new moon that makes you sleepy. But full moon usually gets me like bouncing off the walls. And I've had a lot of the lunars events backwards the last few months. Where new moons felt like full moons. It was one like back in what was it, Pisces or Aries? It felt like a full moon. It's just like I was torn apart. All kinds of things happened, and here I am, nodding off on a full moon. Like when the energy is supposed to be big. But we actually have to take a quick commercial, and when we come back, I think we should talk about some of the Uranus and Pluto stuff going on, if you're willing.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of Sichi Organics. We are celebrating our 30th year anniversary as a small business with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. To celebrate our 30-year anniversary, enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual Sichi skin and hair care product.
Happy anniversary, CG!
From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon. And we're back. We are talking astrology today with a fellow Taurus astrologer. So nice to have you here, dear. And talk planets with someone who loves it and is also a Taurus.
It's so fun. I love talking about astrology with you and everybody that's listening.
Yes, indeed. And it also shares the same joy. We have Uranus and Pluto working together, interesting ways. And, the last time we had Uranus trine Pluto was in the 1920s, which saw a lot of political and social changes, right? Like huge. We came out of the closet of the Roaring Twenties, for one example. What are you thinking about this particular combination today? What do you imagine could happen with these two?
I feel like anytime that we're working with the outer planets, and we also have Neptune and Saturn, everything's hovering around that 1 or 2 degree, that these outer planets, I look at them as being closer to that divine information or that divine knowledge. And so we're down here on Earth and we're being human and we're dealing with our sun and our moon and our, what our mind wants and what our heart wants and all of this stuff, which is really necessary. But what I see is that there's really potent information coming in right now for all of us. And it's all information that is connected together. Right. So Uranus is bringing in the changing of the mind, the way that we're able to see information and interpret it and communicate with one another. And then Pluto is bringing in the revolution and the being able to see how we're conforming or rebelling or what have you. And I think in this trine, it's this really beautiful flow if we're willing to go there. We're willing to open up. It does take some release of our human control of like, we've got to do all the things and all the chores and pay the bills. And a sense of like, can you create some time and space in your life so that you can let things come through? And something you mentioned when we were talking earlier, it's like a lot of us are getting to this place where we can't work in the same way that we used to work. We don't want to go work 50, 60 hours a week at some job that we hate. We don't want to surround ourselves by people that annoy us. And so there's something about the universe really giving us the chance to create the space if we want to take it. So that this divine info, these downloads can come through, because we need to learn how to connect with one another on a different level, on a better level. We need to kind of know what we bring to the table. At this point, it's like we don't all want to bring hot dogs to the potluck. We want to have everybody that's like bringing their own heartfelt gifts and skills to the potluck so that we can all collaborate. And we have to learn how to do that.
Interesting. I think, I look at Pluto's kind of hovered around, for instance, the first 3 degrees of Aquarius, and the step system, that's your heart, your feelings, and your beliefs, your core of who you are. But the real one has been the emotion, our feelings, because I think, Aquariuses aren't good with emotion per se, even though Cancer rules their sixth house, they're supposed to live in it. That's weird, right? But but they have, it's been like electricity and water, basically, I think those two. And so when Pluto went to 2 degrees Aquarius, to me, it was like everyone had to get rid of the emotional things that are causing static electricity inside them, the things that drive you nuts, and about yourself. And it's because these emotions were sticking on you because you felt you belonged, having to address them. You felt you had belonged, like owning it for your mom. You felt like you belonged defending it for this person. And I felt that when Pluto went through that space, it was just like, you know what? I'm not feeling bad anymore. Pluto just gave me this rule, like, I'm feeling bad. And to your point, I feel like people can't get along because they're just bringing all this baggage with them. And they brought this baggage that didn't belong at the picnic either, right? and so I think so I think Pluto in Aquarius is really going, okay, that's it. We're getting out of the terrible, I look at the step numbers as the ages of your birth, right? So age 1 is step 1, age 2 is step 2, so step 2 is the terrible twos. Like we had to face our terrible twos. We had to face, putting up boundaries and, being our own mama or papa and not bringing that shift to the table. And then I think when you're trying to enter Uranus, it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm not upset anyways. So I have to go down this mind trap of like how I'm better and you're worse and you never took care of me as a kid. Like all these things we go down because maybe we're just carrying too much static electricity from our feelings. So that's what I saw the biggest clearing was between the two of those working together. And really Uranus was late to the table. I mean, Pluto's already heading out, at the time. But but I think with Uranus sort of sets the stage, like, if anything, Uranus is saying to me, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. I've at least cleared the plate and assume the repetition is not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, those are some great points. And I think that we need, like you were saying earlier about the net, or I think you said it was step 5 or net 5 when we were talking about Lionsgate, and how there's this, we can speak our truth, right? But then before we even speak our truth, we need to reevaluate, like, what is the truth now? Because when you say so many people come to the potluck and they bring all their trash, it's like if we're all like, I believe this and I believe that, and this is my old story from here. It's like, but is it really? Like, do we need all of that? So I love that you liken it to the terrible twos, because it's like, I want it like this, but then you reevaluate and you say, but is that even true for me anymore? So there's a lot of like recalibration of what we think and what we believe and who we take ourselves to be that we're doing right now.
Yes, totally. And I think Uranus gives us this ability. I mean, Pluto, excuse me, gives us this ability to rise above finally. Like, I'm above that. I'm not going. And to me, it ended me going there completely. I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm just not going to go there. Whereas before I would obsess, and I think the Aquarius as you kind of obsess, and now, or want to ghost, like, I'm not talking to him, and they're like, she says you've never called. It's like, I know, So now it's just like, I can be honest. I can be upfront with these little things that bug me on the inside. Just noticing that. So I'm real anxious to see how it goes. I think what's most exciting is really the Uranus part. I mean, Pluto's cool because it goes up a vibe, and who knows what we get to see. We have a lot of ideas of what that is. But Uranus and Gemini to me seems like very sporadic, unpredictable. Like, I feel like we're gonna have a lot of surprises come out with Uranus and Gemini, and I can just feel like, you think think again. Right.
Yeah, it's like if you're somebody that likes surprises, Uranus and Gemini is going to be an adventure. And if you're somebody that is more fixed and wants to predict, it's going to bring in some stuff because it will be mind benders. Already, like I was giving some examples earlier, like it's very mind bendy when you start thinking about things like cosmic lineages, and then, what is true, and how does the universe really work, and where are we from? And these are bigger questions that I personally find really interesting, but I also sometimes veer into territory where I'm like, okay, that's enough for now. Like, we're going to shut that book and keep moving,
It's such a deep rabbit hole. Yeah. I would imagine, I think back the last time you were asked as a Gemini, I joke about this on my shows. It's like Grandma and Grandpa went from horse and wagon to the shuttle, like not in that one time, but the leap in their lifetime was so big as far as technology and electronics and all those types of things. And it's like, now, my goodness, it's unimaginable, really, for us, how far it'll go.
Yeah.
So I look at that too, just, how we understand things, how we understand the universe. I really think this is the time where the step system or astrology could break free, because finally with Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is astrology, right? So, I noticed that the younger generation is more into it. They know their stuff and they know their signs. So I was just teaching class, intro to step astrology this week. And it's like, I cannot believe schools don't have astrology. I cannot believe they don't have
Oh
the
my
chart of the
God.
chart. I can't believe a therapist doesn't pull a chart. It's like, we have it right here. Everything about a person. I cannot believe it's right there. And he was just like, what are you talking about? I don't believe in that shit.
It's mind-blowing, because it's like, why wouldn't you use this thing that is here, that was given to us as a way to self-understand? It's very predictable. It always helps. I've read thousands of charts, and I'm sure that you've read tens of thousands of charts. And people always say, yes, oh my God, that's me, that's me. And so why would we be starting at zero? And why are we wasting time in education making kids memorize like war dates, when we can really get in with a tool like this and help people to understand? And so maybe that is something that we'll see as education is transitioning. But it's psychology, all of it. I'm so in agreement with you on that.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe Uranus and Gemini this time might be it. I mean, if anything, me being ambitious to get out there, part of my mission is just to be like, guys, we've got the answer right here. Like, why are we fighting? Now, I personally believe that's all Capricorn darkness that's done that. Like, they know full well what the answer is. They know full well there's a cure to cancer. They know full well, there's been aliens. They know full well that they have HIV covered somewhere else. And it's like, but we're not going to do it. Why? This not going to do it, not going to let it out kind of thing is a big question mark. I think that's where we have some surprise. I think that's some of the Uranus Pluto surprise too.
Yeah.
The information is hidden. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I've seen this upsurgence lately on social media of, it's almost like the powers that be, are trying to hide astrology again by calling it evil, right?
Yeah.
They're saying it's not of the light. And it's like,
yep.
What is this?
Right. Oh yeah. Well, no, and we've talked about it too. Social media, it's like numbers aren't, we're losing subscribers. It's like they're saying they're being removed because they're bots. And it's like, okay, it just seems like we're slowly, they're taking down bricks and slowly, slowing things down for our traffic and things like that. And other people have channels that said the same thing. Like, this is weird. It seems like I have this many subscribers and now they don't see the show go live. And they'll tell us, hey, we used to see the pop up at our main menu. We don't see it anymore. So we're seeing real, like, suddenly not supported in the social media. And it's like, is just because I'm a Taurus? You know what I mean? Like, or is it an astrologer? And I wonder.
Right. And at the same time, astrology is just gaining in popularity with the people. And so maybe that's part of the Pluto in Aquarius, is that the people start to let's hope the people start to have more power than the powers that be, that are trying to keep that information down, right? Because like you said, there's all of these medicines and there's all of these very logical tools and metaphysical tools that are still, even in 2025, being totally suppressed. But at the same time, there's a lot of us that are saying, we're going to find it anyway. We're looking for it.
It's a full on, I believe it, I don't care if you do or not, and it's helped me kind of thing. So it's just operating completely independent. What happens is they're losing all control. I mean, think about it. If you're not gonna look at it legitimately, then you're not regulating, you're not taxing, these types of things. It's like, okay, fine, we don't need to live in your system. We really don't. But I think people just have learned now to adopt what they want to adopt and play both roles. Like, they'll go and do the in Christianity when they go to the church, and then they'll turn on like, I'm Pisces. They'll kind of people play both belief structures, which is interesting too, to kind of live in whatever world. So I'm looking forward to that with Uranus and Gemini. I'm working, and Pluto Aquarius. You think about the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, as far as humanity is concerned, it was the United States, the birth of the United States, and these colonists were all about like, we are colonists of Great Britain, and suddenly they weren't. And like suddenly there's just like this little lonely colony, right? And so, well, did we drink tea or not? Like, they screwed us with the Tea Party. like everything suddenly was this, what do we do? Right. How do we act? What do we behave? Should we keep talking to Great Britain? Should we not? We're talking about individual colonists who would write home and things like that, so that was the last time society just was torn in two pieces. And that's, and the other thing too is just the idea of, democracy, the idea of freedom. That was I'm looking for where the freedom will come in this next round. That excites me too. Cause it's like, where will the freedom come next? Because then it was like, no, actually you don't have to be, part of the royal crown if you don't want to, you don't have to, you can actually have a country where freedom of speech is okay, is a given. That was brand new. Like, whoa, everyone wanted a copy, and France was, close later. So I'm wondering what will happen now. It's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, we know it's coming. We can already see the tendrils of it, but it's even like when we look at political parties, and in the past, we might have aligned really strongly with the one political party and believed everything. And now, on both sides, there's so much craziness and nonsense, and there's good things about both sides, but it's almost like there's so many of us that are standing back and saying, wait a minute, I don't align fully with either of those sides. And then what? And then what do we do? And this goes back to those of us that are choosing to find our own tools and find our own path and really have our own belief systems that are not mainstream, that don't just go along with what we were told. So it will be interesting to see how we all shift and change through the next 20 years. But I talk to so many people every week, and everyone is like, I'm just not paying attention anymore. I'm just doing my own thing over here. And I'm working to stay out of fear. And I'm working to really witness myself and get to know my own heart again, and what my own sense of self-care is, and who I want to surround myself with, and what my gifts and skills are. I mean, it becomes very personal right now as a way to figure out how do I figure out who I am personally, so then I can rejoin the collective as somebody that's stronger and not such a conformist, right? In some way, we've all had to conform, but many of us at this point are like, yeah, I don't want to conform to that anymore.
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, once the cat gets out of the bag, you can't unsee it, right?
Right.
Uranus too, I think in Gemini is interesting because of the AI. And AI, when it first came out, I'm like, yeah, I've heard of that before. Then I started to play with it, and I was like, whoa, this will make any idiot on the same level of a genius. This actually just set the standard for everyone has access to the same intelligence. If you have no education and nothing, this will talk down to you, translate it, and bring it back up. Like, you have the ability to consciously understand anything and have it explained to you. And I thought that, like, printing press level, like, whoa, I finally get it. It just leveled the playing field for intelligence. Really, that's the big picture of it, which is kind of like, okay, I mean, so there's no more outsmarting. That means that, like, you tell you tell AI it's doing something, and AI is like, that sounds suspicious. Like, suddenly there's this intellectual thing that's watching over us, right? Whereas before, idiot wouldn't have seen it. Like, there's a lot. It just kind of like plugs a hole. So as far as Gemini is concerned, Dumb and Dumber may not exist anymore. As far as
true, although you're still, like, what I'm noticing with AI is, like, you can ask the question and get the words on the screen, but if you can't take the concept and kind of feed it into your own brain in a way that you can understand it, then it's just more information on a screen that we're scrolling through.
Totally.
So there is still that, in some ways it's like my brain doesn't want to work as hard over here, but I'm pushing my brain. Like, you still need to hold on to the information. You still need to process the information and run it through your own filter to make sure it makes sense. Because that's the thing with AI, is it's not always totally accurate, and it does start to sound the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. So it's like we're learning how to work with this whole new technology, and it also doesn't have a heart, and we have hearts. So it's like we don't want to lose touch with our Leo that says, hey, that's one thing AI doesn't have yet, is the
love
empathy,
and creativity.
the love, right?
And creativity. I don't think it's very creative.
No, that's what I mean. It all starts to sound the same after a while.
Totally. And you can tell. Plus, it's also trained on what we've already thought before. It's not trained on, it doesn't have any other data but what's been said by humankind. And in most cases, what's been published by humankind. Well, we all know that it's just nothing but shit on television, right? And kind of thing. So we all know it's like you ingested all that and you called that the human race. You know what I mean? Like it's a little scary in that regard too. But Uranus and Gemini, once again, like the speeding up of intellect, the speeding up of communication. Again, last time the telephone, the telephone was there, but television started in World War II, radar in World War II. A lot of the electronic stuff that we use now as a given all started with Uranus and Gemini. Kind of interesting. So we'll see where we're at. It's exciting time.
It's a wild wild ride.
It is a wild ride, and we're lucky to be here. I feel like I really think the life gets interesting from this point forward. I think it was not interesting because it was about us and it was about our struggles. I think a lot of us have faced a lot of that stuff, the heavy stuff. And so now, that old fear again, whatever, have a drink, kind of thing. And so now we can just sort of like sit back and be like, no shit. We can just look at the world and kind of for the rest of this lifetime anyways, it's going to be a lot of wonder and observation. It's not going to be, I'm not enough. It's not going to be, I'm breaking down. I do think that part has changed. And so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. And it's like, I keep telling everybody, clients and whatnot, like you have new superpowers that are coming online. So when we were little and we were like, oh, I'm going to be invisible. And we're, our parents are like, oh, that's so cute. They're pretending to be invisible. Well, now we are cultivating these skills of like, what if I am invisible? Right? Like, what if I throw up my cloak of invisibility as I'm walking past this person with a clipboard that wants me to talk to them and sign something? I'm going to put my cloak of invisibility on. And then I walk past them. They don't even see me. Like, oh, that worked. Or, our telepathy or our ability to just know the answer or to communicate with plants, right? Like we thought that stuff was fantasy before, but what we're finding is it's actually not fantasy. I mean, we have to learn how to wield the wand, but the skills that are coming online right now for those of us that are paying attention are crazy. And I think that that's going to start getting bigger and bigger for those of like the kind of people that are listening to us.
Yes, absolutely. And actually those who aren't like, I've had a lot of just random examples. Like, I think I said this maybe the last time I talked to you is like, the wife who had the husband is like, I don't believe in this stuff, but hi, Chris. Like he used to be. Now he's like, hey, I had a dream about Atlantis. Do you think it was real? Like suddenly like he's like engaged, and before he was a pain, and the wife is like, what do I do? I'm not married to someone spiritual. There was that whole thing, and now it's like I was like, hold on, you never know. Like his Aquarius just set up in a weird spot, and sure enough, I'm seeing things opening up, like bright new interest in that field. People saying they're having dreams about Atlantis. People saying that they naturally are noticing their psychic abilities and their telepathy and their intuition abilities, like just all of a sudden like a light switch, for those. And it's funny, those who are dark are just suddenly light. And you're kind of like, come on, I spent years doing this, why does it just turn on for you? Well, I think because, right? I'm like, what? But I kind of feel that was always the plan. It was sort of waiting and hiding, turns out you don't have to develop it. It might already be a part of you. And Pluto just like open the door, like, turns out they did this in another life. So here comes in the memories, and they just know how to do it.
Yeah, it's like there's this ripple effect. So some of us have been like laboring and like really getting in there for years and years. And we're finally, for me, like I'm finally at a place where, when I think of somebody and I look down and I'm like, oh, what a coincidence. I was thinking of this person and they just texted me. Now I'm like, of course I was thinking about them because, we're on the same field. And so as we're believing it more and more, then it's the ripple effect. And it's like the random people, like you said, that are like, hey, I just had a dream about Atlantis. And you're like, really? Welcome to the club.
Totally. It's also refreshing too. Cause like, oh, thank God, because I thought for a long time, I was like, am I going to spend my whole life marketing this and having to prove? People really the ones who are sticking strong are the Christians. Just say that.
Yeah.
Really,
which is so interesting, right? Because it seems like there's a resurgence of the sort of that fundamental religion.
Fundamentals, yeah.
And they don't like astrology.
No, suddenly, it's a big deal. Yeah, totally. And science isn't like astrology either. The whole idea of the 13th sign, esophagus or whatever, ficus, the whole ficus thing is like was released by a guy who at a planetarium, He was just a scientist, planetarium guy. He somehow his story got picked up. Then all the scientists are all herring, like, see, this is why astrology doesn't work. Now it's 13 signs. Like, no, it's never 13
Right.
signs. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, if you study astronomy, you believe in astronomy, right? And they say yes.
Right.
It's like, well,
Right.
look back at history where these planets were astronomically, and you were going
Yeah.
to find that history repeats itself very predictably. So,
Yes.
there's that.
Totally. And actually, AI has done that for me. I said to AI, Grok, I was using Grok. I said, tell me if you find any coincidences between every time Jupiter's in Cancer in the last 3 cycles. And it talked about Jupiter cycle hit, Jupiter cycle. And then it did come to it looks like that humanitarian efforts improved. Human nurturing went into a new scale, set new standards. It was like, it basically said what you'd say for Jupiter and Cancer. I'm like, haha, the AI has come up with it on their own, right? Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be one of those battles. Not battles, but they'll be like, science will be like, well, we didn't look at it. Now we do. And they'll be on board with it. We'll be like, damn it. Here's a common idea now. I studied science, but you didn't study astrology. Come on now, and there's opinionated, but it's interesting. It really is. It comes down to the fundamental. I know we got to go, but it comes down to the fundamental of, do you believe that you create reality, or do you believe that you're, an object in reality? And that fundamental belief, I think, might be that's like the real juggernaut, really. I think that if you want to get to the core of human belief structure, which is Sagittarius, the opposite of Uranus. So it's like Uranus and Gemini is changing your thinking. What happens? Well, then your belief structure all changes because all of your thoughts change, right? On the other side, your Sagittarius stuff. So, the real juggernaut is, do you believe, we are creating our reality, or do you believe that we are stuck in one? That's the core.
Right. And I think that that's one thing that will get very challenged for most of us on the earth at different levels, depending on where we're already at. But it is that, like, we will have to change the way that we believe in order to really evolve into what's coming. Because, if we were taught that aliens didn't exist, and that's our fundamental belief system,
Right.
but now we're watching interstellar objects come in and we don't know what they are, but some things maybe need to shift and change so that we can have a better understanding of what we're really doing and what we're really here for. So it'll be an adventure.
It will be an adventure. And I'm grateful to be with you.
Yeah, this was fun. I could talk all night.
We could talk all night. And that's usually what happens with these things. Get two astrologers together and they're just like, bringing up planets through time. How can people work with you? I mean, you have such a bright personality and awareness.
Yeah. So you can find me at electraastrology.com. I do readings, I teach classes, I have mentorships, and then I also have my podcast, Star Narratives, and a YouTube channel, Electra Astrology. So come find me. I'm on Instagram too.
Awesome. And I think you can never get enough astrology advice because astrologers can't learn it all. So there's no competition. We all have our own fascination. I went down the step system. Everyone goes down these different avenues. So you get to a different astrologer, and it's great to learn about them, what they have to say, because they're seeing it from a different point of view. It usually sort of overlaps with what you have known, and the more the merrier as far as opinions are concerned. The more the merrier.
I agree, and I love your step astrology. I've learned so much from you over the past few years and made connections. So,
well, I have some. I mean, you'll have to take this intro to step astrology. This is a shameless plug, but I finally created a course that's all inclusive of everything, and there's stuff in the information that I've never released before, which I won't say here tonight, but it's in the class where I release what the minutes and seconds are now in the step numbers. Never talked about that before. I revealed it. My guide told me I could. I had to keep it secret for a long time. Just this constant when I wanted to talk about it. But yeah, it's all revealed. And so I'm laying down the foundation. So for me, as I lay down that foundation, you might be interested to know that came in 19 years ago. That information came in, right? Started coming in about 19 years ago. And I haven't really had much come in after that. It was like, this is the system. This is how it works. Minutes and seconds are a secret thing. As soon as I started putting it into a formal class, new stuff came in. As soon as I started formalizing, like new stuff, like, well, what, you're kidding? You're fucking kidding me. Like, I'm trying to make a course and I'm getting all this like new stuff is pretty interesting. Especially because I haven't, I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot it was like this when I was downloading this stuff, but it's cool. So it's cool. So everyone check it out.
Gemini.
I'll score you some sort of interest way. We'll do a trade or something. I love
that. I'm down.
It'd be awesome. All right. Well, have a great full moon.
You too. Thank you. Thank everybody for listening and hanging with us.
Thanks for coming back. You got to just keep coming back. And one of these days, in person. Okay. Yay. All right, folks. Well, that was fun. These go by so quickly when I'm doing these, and I'm so grateful to have other people out there who care as much as I do about these weird things I call the planets and energy. And I'm very grateful for y'all too. So have a great full moon. It's kind of an electric one, this full moon in Aquarius. It's going to, cause you to electrically let go of something and electrically hold on to something. So try to be flexible, be loving with yourself, and take care of yourself this weekend. Until next week, I love you. Live, love, be.
Audio Jungle.
Do you love your weekly tea time with Christopher? Then you'll love him spilling more tea over at SeriousJoy.com with a series of tea time vibe videos that help you better connect with each state of awareness. From step 0, I protect, to step 11, I become. So grab yourself a cup of tea and get to know step astrology with a subscription to Serious Joy.